Listen carefully, because this is not a normal message, and it is not reaching you by accident. A quiet shift took place this morning, and it passed without noise, without warning, without any sign that something bigger had just been set into motion. No alarms, no visible signal. Yet in that exact moment, a decision you made, a thought you held, or even a feeling you carried caused a reaction far beyond what the human eye can see, the kind of reaction that does not happen often, the kind that forces a change at a level most people never become aware of. What makes this even more intense is that you likely believed your morning was ordinary. You woke up, you moved through your routine, maybe you felt a little different, maybe nothing stood out at all. But what truly happened goes deeper than routine, deeper than habit, and far beyond coincidence. Because while everything around you looked the same, something above you did not stay the same. Plans shifted, paths adjusted, and yes, something that was already in motion was suddenly interrupted because of you. There is a reason this message is finding you right now, and it connects directly to what unfolded earlier today. Many people move through life thinking that only big actions matter, that only loud decisions create change, but that belief hides a truth that very few understand. The smallest internal shift can trigger the largest external response. This is not about exaggeration or emotion. This is about alignment, timing, and the unseen systems that respond to human intention in ways that are rarely talked about. What you did this morning, no matter how small it seemed, carried a signal. That signal was received. And when it was received, something had to be adjusted, not because something went wrong, but because something finally went right. That is the part most people never realize. When alignment begins, it often feels quiet, even confusing, but behind that silence, major recalibration begins to take place. In this video, you are going to understand what really happened, step by step, in a way that is clear and grounded, but still reveals the deeper layer most people ignore. You will learn why certain moments in your life feel heavier than others, even when nothing obvious is happening. You will see how a simple action, even something as small as a pause, a decision, or a shift in mindset, can cause a reaction that changes the direction of things already planned ahead. There are patterns behind this, there are signals behind this, and once you understand them, you will begin to see your own life differently. Not as random events, not as disconnected moments, but as a sequence that is constantly being adjusted based on who you are becoming in real time. There are also details that are rarely spoken about openly. Lesser-known truths about how timing works, how delays are often redirections, and how moments that feel still are actually moments where the most movement is happening behind the scenes. Most people miss these signs because they are trained to look for noise, for obvious changes, for visible proof. But the deeper processes do not work that way. They move quietly. They respond to internal shifts, not external performance. And that is exactly why what happened this morning matters more than it appears. It was not about what others saw, it was about what was registered beyond that. And once something is registered at that level, adjustment becomes necessary. As you continue watching, everything will begin to connect. The feeling you had, the way your morning unfolded, even the small details you almost ignored will start to make sense. You will begin to see how certain events that follow from this point forward are not random at all. They are part of a recalibration process that has already started. And this is important because without understanding it, many people misinterpret these changes. They think something is wrong. They think they are losing direction. But the truth is the opposite. When recalibration begins, it often removes what no longer fits, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. That is why staying until the end of this video matters, because what you learn here will help you recognize the difference between loss and redirection, between delay and preparation, between silence and realignment. There is also a deeper layer to all of this that very few ever get access to. It has to do with why certain people experience these shifts more strongly than others, why some individuals feel these changes early while others remain unaware. This is not random. It connects to awareness, to sensitivity, and to a level of perception that is often overlooked. And if you are here, if this message is reaching you right now, there is a strong reason to believe you are already connected to that level in some way. That is why things feel different for you at times. That is why certain moments carry more weight. And that is why what happened this morning was not ignored at a higher level. By the end of this video, you will not only understand what took place, but you will also know how to move forward from here with clarity instead of confusion. You will see why certain things may begin to change around you, why some paths may close, and why others may suddenly open without warning. You will understand the pattern behind it instead of reacting to it blindly, and once you understand the pattern, you stop feeling lost. You start recognizing direction even when it is not obvious. So stay with this message, because every part of it builds towards something important, something that connects directly to your current moment. And if you want to keep receiving messages like this, ones that go deeper, that reveal what is usually hidden, and that help you understand the unseen patterns shaping your life, make sure you subscribe to this channel and stay connected, because what comes next will only make sense if you are here to hear it. Pay close attention to this part, because this is where things begin to connect in a way that most people never notice. What happened this morning was not random. It was not small. It did not pass without meaning. There was a reaction, and it did not stay limited to what you could see or feel. It moved beyond that. It reached a level where actions are not measured by size, but by intention and timing. What you did triggered something, and that trigger carried weight, not noise, not attention, but weight. And that is the difference. Many people think change comes from loud moves, big decisions, visible effort, but what truly shifts direction often begins in silence. That is why this moment matters. That is why you are here hearing this now. Because something connected, and once that connection happened, something had to respond. The question that stays in your mind is simple, but it carries depth. What exactly did you do? That question matters because the answer is not what you expect. It is not about a dramatic action. It is about something much quieter, something that seemed too small to matter at the time. Think back to how your morning actually felt. Not what you planned, not what you expected, but what you experienced in real time. There may have been a sense of heaviness when you woke up, not extreme, but noticeable. A weight that did not fully make sense. Your body moved, but your energy felt slower. Your thoughts were not fully clear, or maybe they were unusually quiet. You may have stayed in bed for a few extra moments, not because you were lazy, but because something inside you needed that pause. Or maybe you got up immediately, but there was still a different kind of feeling in the air. Something subtle but real. It could have been a moment where you looked at nothing, said nothing, and just existed for a few seconds longer than usual. Or maybe there was a small thought that passed through your mind, a question, a reflection, or even a silent request for things to get better. It did not have to be spoken out loud. It did not have to be perfect. It just had to be real. Some of you may have said a short prayer, not long, not detailed, just a few simple words. Others may not have said anything at all, but felt something inside shift slightly, even if it was hard to explain. And many of you dismissed it. You moved on quickly. You told yourself it was nothing important, just another morning, just another feeling, just another passing moment. But that is where the misunderstanding begins, because what felt small to you did not register as small beyond you. It carried a signal, and that signal was clear enough to be received. That is why this is not random. That is why this is not small. Because what you thought meant nothing actually meant everything in that moment. There is something most people are never taught, and once you understand it, everything begins to make more sense. The unseen does not respond to performance. It responds to authenticity. It responds to intention. It responds to the state you are in when you make a choice, not just the choice itself. That is why small actions can carry more weight than big ones, because they are often more real, they are less forced, less controlled, more honest, and honesty carries a frequency that cannot be ignored. Heaven does not measure your actions the way people do. It does not look for perfection. It does not wait for grand gestures. It pays attention to the quiet shifts, the small decisions, the moments where you choose differently even when no one is watching. That is where real change begins. That is where signals are sent. And when a signal is sent at the right moment, something has to respond. That is where the shift begins to grow. Because plans do exist, paths are set, directions are already in motion long before you see the outcome. But those plans are not fixed in a rigid way. They are responsive, they adjust, they move, and they are constantly being aligned with your current state. This is where things become deeper. Because while you were moving through your morning, something about your energy changed, something about your choice, your thought, or your feeling created a difference. It may not have been dramatic, but it was enough to be noticed, enough to create a reaction. And once that reaction started, adjustment became necessary. This is what it means when it feels like something bigger happened without any visible sign, because it did. Plans that were already moving forward had to pause, not because they were wrong, but because they were no longer aligned with who you were becoming in that moment. And that is the key point. Alignment. When alignment shifts, everything connected to it must also shift. That includes timing, direction, and outcome. It is not about stopping everything completely. It is about redirecting it so it matches your current state more accurately. That is why it can feel confusing. Because from your point of view, nothing major happened, but from a deeper level, everything adjusted. This is where the idea of cancellation can be misunderstood. It is not about rejection. It is not about something being taken away because you failed or did something wrong. It is the opposite. It is about protection. It is about correction. It is about ensuring that what comes next fits you better than what was originally planned. God did not cancel plans to leave you with nothing. The plans were adjusted so that what reaches you next matches where you are now, not where you were before. That is why this is recalibration. Not punishment, not loss, not delay for no reason. It is a realignment process that happens when your internal state changes in a meaningful way. Most people never recognize when this happens. They only notice the effects later. They see delays, they see changes, they see things not working the way they expected, and they assume something is wrong. But what they are actually experiencing is adjustment. Because when you change internally, even in a small way, the path in front of you must change too. It cannot stay the same. If it did, it would no longer match you. That is why timing shifts. That is why certain things pause. That is why other things begin to move unexpectedly. It is all connected to alignment. There is also a deeper structure behind this that involves timing in a very precise way. Not every moment carries the same weight. Some moments are more sensitive than others. Some moments act like turning points, even if they look ordinary on the surface. This morning was one of those moments. A point where your internal state and external timing crossed in a way that created impact. That is why your action, even if it felt small, had a larger effect than it normally would, because the timing was right. And when timing and intention meet, the result is always change. Your inner state plays a bigger role in your life than most people realize. It shapes your perception, your decisions, your reactions, and ultimately your direction. But beyond that, it also sends signals that influence what comes toward you. When your inner state shifts even slightly, it changes what you are aligned with, and when alignment changes, reality begins to adjust to match it. This is not immediate in a visible way, but it is immediate in a structural way. The adjustment begins right away, even if you only notice it later. That is why things may feel different right now. Not dramatically different, but subtly shifted. A slight sense that something is not exactly the same as before. That feeling is not confusion, it is awareness. It is your mind and body recognizing that something has changed, even if you cannot fully explain it yet. And instead of ignoring that feeling, it is important to pay attention to it, because it is a signal that you are in the middle of a transition. You are not behind. That is important to understand. It may feel like things are slowing down or not moving the way you expected, but that does not mean you are falling behind. It means you are being repositioned. There is a difference. Falling behind implies loss without purpose. Repositioning implies movement with intention, even if that movement is not visible yet. And right now, what you are experiencing is repositioning. This is why today feels different. Not because something external forced it to change, but because something internal reached a point where change became necessary. And once that point is reached, the process begins whether you fully understand it or not. That is why it is important to stay aware, to notice the small things, the subtle changes, the slight differences in how things feel and unfold. As the next few days move forward, there may be moments that feel unusual, not extreme, but noticeable. Situations may shift, plans may change, things you expected to happen might pause or take a different direction. And while that can feel uncomfortable at first, it is important to understand what is really happening. You are not being blocked, you are being guided. Even if that guidance does not look the way you expected, there may also be moments where something leaves your life or becomes less present. It could be a situation, a connection, or even a pattern you were used to, and in those moments, it is easy to assume loss. But what is actually happening is adjustment, because not everything that was aligned with your past state can stay aligned with your current one. And when alignment changes, separation becomes necessary in some areas. At the same time, new paths may begin to open, not always in obvious ways, but in subtle shifts that lead you in a different direction. Opportunities may appear where you did not expect them. Ideas may come to you more clearly, or you may feel drawn towards something new without fully understanding why. These are all signs of recalibration in progress. The key is not to resist it, not to force things back to how they were, because the moment your internal state shifted this morning, the old alignment began to fade, and trying to return to it will only create confusion. Moving forward requires trust, not blind trust, but aware trust. The kind that comes from recognizing patterns and understanding that change is happening for a reason. Right now, you are in a space where things are being adjusted in real time. It is not loud, it is not obvious, but it is active, and the more you pay attention, the more you will start to see it, not all at once, but gradually, piece by piece, moment by moment. And as this continues, the question of what you did this morning will begin to feel less confusing and more clear, because you will start to see the results of it, not immediately, but through the way things shift around you, through the way certain paths close and others open, through the way your direction begins to feel different even if you are still in the same place. This is how recalibration works. Quiet at first, subtle in the beginning, but powerful over time. And once it starts, it continues until everything is aligned again. If this message found you, it was not by accident. There is a reason you stayed this long, a reason these words reached you at this exact moment, and a reason something inside you feels like this connects. Take that seriously. Not everything needs to be forced or fully understood right away. Some things are meant to be felt first, then understood later. Right now, the most important thing is to stay aware of what is changing around you and within you. Stay open to the shifts, even if they feel small, even if they feel unclear, because clarity does not always arrive all at once. It builds, it reveals itself step by step, and more of it is coming. Do not ignore the signs that begin to show up after this. Do not brush off the small changes like they mean nothing, because those small changes are part of a bigger movement that is already in progress. The more aware you stay, the easier it becomes to recognize what is happening and move with it instead of against it. You are not here by chance, and this moment is not empty. It is part of something that is still unfolding. If this message made sense to you, if you felt even a small shift while listening, then stay connected. Subscribe to this channel so you do not miss what comes next, because each message builds on the last and brings more clarity as things continue to unfold. Like this video so it can reach others who need to hear it right now, and share it with someone who may be going through something they do not fully understand yet. Keep your awareness high, stay open to what is coming, and be ready, because the next phase is already beginning to take shape.